happening, everyone? Adima here. Now, over the past few weeks, I've actually run into some phones. I've been trying to make videos on those phones, but it hasn't really worked out very well for me. But at least I think I'm in the best position now to actually make some videos on them, so that's what I'm doing. In this video, I'm going to cover one very unique phone that Tecno made. Now, the Tecno Camon 12 came out, and we already know that the Tecno Camon series is supposed to be a camera-centered phone, so we shouldn't be expecting the highest end performance or highest battery life performance. We should be expecting the best camera performance. So the Tecno Camon 12 came out, so did the Tecno Camon 12 Pro. But then the Tecno Camon 12 Air was launched, but it wasn't launched in Nigeria. At the same time, it was launched in other countries. Now, what makes the Tecno Camon 12 Air special? It's actually the display. Because this is one Tecno device that when I actually saw it, I was like, wow, like this is something that is mind-blowing. Something that you don't actually expect from a camera-centered phone. So the first thing that you actually look at in a phone, apart from the back design or how slim it looks, is actually the screen. So the major highlight of this phone is in the screen. There is no notch, there's no teardrop notch, there's no bathtub notch. There is only a hole punch. Now the hole punch display is something that we saw very early in 2019. It's not very new. It came out first in the Honor View 20, and then we now saw it in the Samsung Galaxy S10e, and now we're seeing it in the Tecno Camon 12. Now the Honor View 20 and the Samsung Galaxy S10e both cost over 100k in price in Naira, and then when you see a phone that has a hole punch display, you immediately associate it with a very premium price. But now the Tecno Camon 12 Air has the hole punch for that much, and you're like, wait, are you serious right now? I'm damn serious. So when I actually saw this device, my friend had it and he was using it and flexing, and I was like, dude, I have to feel this phone. So I took it from him and I actually started to shoot the phone. Now the phone is very unique. Its front display is very good, very bright and vivid. It's a 720p screen, unfortunately, even though it doesn't look like a 1080p screen. I don't have a problem with that. It's a camera phone, let's not forget. That's like the whole point of me telling you that at the beginning of the video. It's a camera-centered phone, so don't expect to get the highest end stuff from this phone. Just look for decent stuff, but then very good cameras. This display is very nice to actually look at. There is practically no bezel almost around it. It's not a design that spills over the edge. It's a design that has very minimalistic bezels, but then it has quite a notable chin. Now, if you ask me, I'm fine with how the design is right now. It's very beautiful and nice to look at. But then I think that they should have shaved that chin a little. I mean, come on. The chin is just a bit too much. At least for me, it's a bit too much. But then for any typical person, it's fine. It already has all of these very thin bezels, and it looks pretty premium. As for the weight, it's very light in hand. So it's almost like holding an 80 leaves exercise book in your hand. Okay, maybe two 80 leaves exercise books in your hand. It's not heavy at all. Now, Tecno Camon 12 Air, that hole punch display is very beautiful. It houses an 8 megapixel main camera inside it, and it looks pretty good. Now, I was looking at the hole punch, trying to see if there was any sort of discoloration around the hole punch display because of the display, because that was something we saw in the Honor View 20, where Honor purposefully discolored some pixels around the hole punch so that there wouldn't be anything like lights leaking into the camera lens. I didn't see that in the Tecno Camon 12 Air, and I'm going to guess that Tecno actually did some work so to where they don't actually need to discolor the pixels around it to prevent any light leaking or any light leaking into the camera or anything like that. Now, another thing I actually like about this hole punch display is the position. The position is at the top left of the phone instead of the top right. The Samsung Galaxy S10e had it at the top right, and if you ask me personally, that's where the battery information normally is. Battery and signal information normally is. So pushing it over there is actually a bit disruptive if you ask me, because most of the time, because I'm testing out phones and trying to push them to their limits, I'm also keeping an eye on my battery, and to look over there and see a hole punch, well, yeah. So it being on the left hand side of the phone is pretty good. And now I'll also have to say that it being on the left hand side makes it a bit easier to disappear when you're using it. If you put your phone in landscape mode watching a video, it goes to the bottom left of your hand, and I don't think anyone actually looks at the bottom left of their phone when they're watching anything or playing games. The only time you may actually notice it is if you're playing something like PUBG, maybe when you're trying to open your backpack or something. That's when you may actually notice the hole punch. But outside of that, you may not notice it at all. And I have to say that that is pretty good, and I'm fine with that in every way. Now, that's the main highlight of this phone. There is no other thing about this phone that will make it be like, oh my god, this is so amazing. But then let's not forget, this phone costs 42,500 naira, and that is very, very cheap. Like, I tell you the truth, that is very, very cheap. For the design is pretty plain. I'm actually fine with the design. I don't like all of the flashy gradients and all. It's a plastic back that has a fingerprint reader at the back with its 3 cameras, and the design is okay. It's already pretty light, like I've already said before, and it's not a thick device, so it's very comfortable in the hand and very, very good. Now, a few complaints here. Why Tecno is still using a micro USB port, I simply do not know. It's annoying to see because everybody in 2019 is moving towards a USB Type-C port, and we're trying to get to that future where one wire can power all of your devices or charge all of your devices, or you can use one cable to transfer data between all of your devices. If Tecno is still stuck with the micro USB ports, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Well, to be fair, I don't think many Nigerians use laptops that support USB Type-C ports, or rather Thunderbolt 3. So I may see some use with that, but it's no excuse. This is 2019. For your phone to cost higher than 30,000 naira and it's still on micro USB, totally unacceptable. Now, like I've already said before, there's nothing high-end about this phone. The phone's performance is pretty good. It's running on a MediaTek Helio P22 processor with 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of internal storage. By my guess, you should have about 10 gigs used up by the Android storage. So you have about 22 gigs or 21 gigs left for your own usage. It's not a big problem because you can expand your storage via the micro SD card slots, which is also dedicated. One thing that I will actually praise Tecno for in every one of their devices. And it's a very good device. And for those wondering, yes, it supports Glo 4G band 28, so you don't need to actually worry about that. It's running Android 9, and Android 9 is not my problem. Even though Android 10 is out, I'm not expecting any Tecno device to get Android 10 till about later next year. But then my question is with iOS. Now, why iOS has a lot of pre-installed apps in it is something I just cannot understand. Some of those apps are actually useful to me. So like something like Asphalt Nitro, I can play that, so I don't think I'll actually delete that from my phone. But then every other thing, why? Tecno, why? Like, why? Just stop, please. Well, that's everything else. Now let's talk about the main highlight of this phone, the cameras. Now, it has a 16 megapixel main camera, a 5 megapixel ultra wide camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. The 16 megapixel camera is the same one that you have in the Tecno Camon 12 and 12 Pro. There's no difference there, so you shouldn't actually expect any difference in shots. And the ultra wide lens is pretty good. It's a lower resolution than the main camera. I've already complained this before in one of my videos where I said that it's annoying to see ultra wide cameras not having so many megapixels in them, because I think the more megapixels along with very good camera processing will make it decent. And I'm not going to say any more about this. Now, one thing I will praise these cameras for is their consistency. When you're in the main lens and you switch over to the ultra wide lens, on some phones you'll actually notice something like this. The white balance is warm on the main camera, and then you switch to the ultra wide and suddenly everything just turns blue because the ultra wide lens is actually sensing the color temperature as cool instead of warm, and it's very annoying. It's good that in this phone there isn't a noticeable difference between the two apart from the slightly changed angle, and trust me, this is very, very good. I am fine with it. The phone shoots up to 1080p 60, but then I don't think there's any form of stabilization. I wasn't able to test, but then for what I've heard, it doesn't support any form of stabilization, not even EIS. Tecno, why? Like, why? Even if the phone costs 42,500 naira, this is a camera phone, and I think basic things like video image stabilization will be very, very helpful when you're actually trying to promote this phone. Because if I walk up to someone and tell them buy this phone, and the person asks, I want to shoot video on this phone, is it stable? And then you start shuffling your feet and be like, no, I don't want that at all. Tecno, just put stabilization on your devices, even if it's just electronic image stabilization. I am very fine with that. Please, Tecno, I'm begging. So overall, if you ask me, the Tecno Camon 12 Air is the phone to get anytime, anywhere. If you're trying to go into the market and you're thinking about buying a Tecno phone and you have about 60k, I just tell you, buy the Tecno Camon 12 Air and save up that money to buy another phone in the next 1 year or 2 years, depending on you. But that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comment sections below what you think and whether you're going to buy this phone or not. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.